can I be enlightened on the process of DPWH inclusion in the list of projects in the NEP? And I will have some follow-up questions. How does the DPWH identify and prioritize which projects should be funded and included in its budget proposal for the NEP? Does the proposal to include specific projects begin with a DPWH district engineer or regional directors? And which office in the DPWH determines the number of projects to be proposed, including the amounts thereof? I know this is very basic, and I actually know the answers to these questions. I just want to know whether the process is still the same as I know it, or has it changed over time? Or will it be changed under the watch of the new team? Thank you. And I ask this, Mr. President, it is very important that we as lawmakers fully understand the budgetary process from the time that an item is included in the NEP, so that we understand who is the author of that item. What is the basis of that? Whether it is a project, an activity, a program.
Mr. President, I was conferring with USEC. In reality, it has to be bottoms up. Diba? Manggagaling yan sa City Development Council or Municipal Development Council, then Provincial Development Council, Regional Development Council. It will go to the regional budget proposal yan. Tapos, i-endorse yan sa central office, sa planning service ng DPWH, at papasok na ho yan sa National Expenditure Program. But in reality, hindi ganun. I was telling si USEC, dahil may nakikita kaming mga items, ako nakikita kong items na wala naman po sa NEP. Wala naman sa RDC. No, nasa NEP siya, wala siya sa RDC. So in other words, tumalon ho siya from district engineer to regional to central, no. So may ganun rin na situation. Hindi naman po lahat, no. May iba dumadaan ng RDC, but mayroon iba tumatalon ho siya going to the NEP.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. The good sponsor himself had mentioned it. May I know of the items in the NEP for 2026 which were actually vetted and followed the process that you had said, which would be through the RDCs, and the RDC decisions would have come from the local level?
Yeah. Actually, according to you, second, pareho po yung numbers namin more or less. Historically po, yung na-approve ng RDC, only 20% ends up in the NEP. No, so konti lang ho ang pumapasok sa NEP. In a perfect world, dapat lahat po ng ini-endorse ng RDC pumapasok sa NEP dahil bottoms up yun eh. But yun na nga, dahil meron pong tumatalon, meron pong nag-shortcut, only 20% ends up in the NEP.
Sinasabi po natin na yung proseso na kayo po mismo ay nagsabi at ako po isang ayon ay mas nagiging exception to the rule. Bagamat yan ang proseso na dapat sundin ay hindi po nasusunod, at sabi nyo mga 1/5 lang na mga proyektong nakapasok sa NEP ay actually endorsed by RDC o dumadaan sa tamang proseso.
Yeah. But meron din pong kasing, and we have to admit this, meron din po kasing mga congressional amendments. Diba ho? Meron mga lumalapit ho dito, mga LGUs, may dala-dalang resolution. For example po, merong mahalagang kalsada sa kanila, or meron ho silang evacuation center na gustong gawin, or yung kanilang school building ay kailangan na damihan. So, hindi naman nagagawa po ng mga national agencies, lumalapit ho dito sa atin. At tayo naman, dahil tingin natin kailangan ng lugar na yan, nag-a-amend rin ho tayo. No? We have to admit that. Let's call spade a spade. Nag-a-amend rin ho tayo. Yun, malamang hindi rin ho dumadaan ng RDC. No?
Very clear.
Hindi
Very
yun
clear.
dumadaan ng RDC.
Yes.
Pero importante at kailangan ng locality. No? At meron silang resolution. So yung may mga ganun na cases, kaya yung mga infrastructure projects, hindi ho outside of the 20% ang pumapasok doon sa NEP.
And ang ibig sabihin ng chair na meron mga requests from local governments that may not have gone through the RDC because they're very local, but actually there's a request from LGU. Diba? May at least sanggunian.
And based on our analysis, importante rin yung mga projects yan. Like for example, mga water supply system.
Barangay water systems.
Yes, kung wala akong tubig, how can the barangay survive? So,
Yes.
based on our own analysis na kailangan ho yan, so tayo naman, out of our concern, naglalagay rin tayo ng pondo doon sa mga projects na yun.
Yes, thank you for that. Are feasibility studies required for each intended project included in the NEP? Since Your Honor mentioned that only 20% goes through the RDCs and the others are locally requested for. So, are feasibility studies required for all those in the NEP, or only the 20% which went through the RDC? Or would this include also the locally requested projects?
Yung 20%, the ones that go through the RDC, I looked at the RDC requirement. Kailangan po siya in line with the Philippine Development Plan. Kailangan po siya in line with the Philippine Investment Plan. So, all of these projects that go through the RDC, typically meron ho silang feasibility study at meron din siyang mga alignment with the PDP and the PIP, Philippine Investment Plan. Of course, yung mga pumupunta po sa mga congressman, sa senators, meron naman po itong mga sanggunian resolution. And typically, may nakaspecify ho doon yung need and requirement ng project na yun.
Okay. Thank you. May we be enlightened and clarified by the DPWH whether there is a threshold amount for DPWH projects that can be handled and or procured by first, the regional office, and second, the district engineering offices, which are proposed in the NEP. What is this threshold amount now, if any?
So right now, the current threshold is 150 and below is district engineer, 150 to 400. Okay. 0 to 400 is regional, and then above 400 central. So yung po yung threshold po ng projects.
Thank you. May I know the purpose of the thresholds for district engineering, for regional, and for central, Mr. President?
The theory there, Mr. President, is yung mga maliliit na projects, dahil marami yun, district engineer na mag-implement para mas mabilis po. Yung mga medium-sized projects, region, and the big-ticket projects, centralized. Sa central nag-execute. So the reason there is really para po mabilis yung implementation ng mga micro-projects or small projects.
Thank you for this. Is it correct, Mr. President, to say that oftentimes, or maybe sometimes, the DPWH splits the projects in its budget proposals into phases, as we heard earlier with Senator Lacson in his interpellations, into packages in the same budget year? There are splits.
So Secretary Dizon made a resounding yes na talagang nangyari po ni-split ho nila para po sa district engineer na lang yung implementation.
Yes.
So but itong nasa Senate Committee report, because meron na pong station numbers, hindi na ho ginawa yan kasi ma-identify na natin yung project and how long and how big is the project.
Yes. Is it correct to say, Mr. President, that such practice of splitting projects is sometimes, not all, used to ensure that projects will be handled by the region because there are thresholds, or even by district engineering offices, as the case may be, without giving the DPWH Office of the Secretary visibility, and as such giving him deniability.
Yeah, that's Secretary Vince said it's possible. It talaga hong para po nasa baba nilang po yung execution ng project, hindi na ho umaakyat sa taas.
Yes, like a road project, earlier, I saw the interpellations of Senator Lacson. It was split with the total project cost exceeding the certain threshold, whether it's engineering or district,
Correct.
would be split into several packages
Tama yan.
to ensure that only the regional or the district engineering officers will be handling it. What is the impact of that the Office of the Secretary would not have visibility of this? He would still have visibility, it's just split into thus, or is this actually done so that the OSEC or the central would not see it? Or would the Office of the Secretary see everything despite the splitting into packages?
Well, for I mean, to be practical about it and to be realistic about it, it's impossible for the secretary
Impossible.
to monitor all 30,000 projects na ongoing. So mahirap po talaga. So he relies on people to give him the proper or the correct reports and also the accurate reports. Pero ngayon, we showed earlier that DPWH will be using technology now, no? So he will not only rely on yung paper report na sinasabit sa kanya, but he will have literally visibility over the projects because of the satellite images that will be used by the DPWH.
Thank you for that. And where technology has not been used, how would the secretary or those in the OSEC monitor what's in the region or in the district engineering offices?
The plan here is really to use technology moving forward. I know the secretary is very savvy with digitalization. So moving forward, the DPWH will use more and more technology to help it manage the 30,000+ projects, all actually simultaneously being implemented.
And in the past, if technology was not used, they would have to rely on the word of the region and the district.
Yeah.
Is that not
But
correct?
that's a very good point, Senator Lauren, Mr. President, that may limitation rin in technology kasi nga in the past nakita natin geotagging, may project dime, pero kung hindi naman gagamitin at isasabotahin naman yung technology, wala rin mangyayari. So that's another learning for the new DPWH administration. That technology is only good if you use it honestly. No, pag sinabotahe yun, wala rin mangyayari. And I think that the DPWH took note of that.
Thank you for that. Assuming the department has already submitted all the projects, all 30,000 of it, how will the list of projects be included in the NEP? How will it be finalized before its submission to the DBM? Which office in the DPWH vets the correctness and accuracy of the proposals, including the completeness of the supporting documents? You mentioned RDC approval, Sangguniang Bayan request for LGUs, feasibility studies for infrastructure projects. May we know which office in the DPWH would be responsible for this?
So it's the process, the way the process works. DBM will give them a ceiling. Ito yung tier 1, tier 2. And then the planning office of the DPWH will work on that, kumbaga work backward. We'll work backward on what projects will be included. May prioritization. How do you prioritize? Okay. I was asking po yung prioritization pero parang malabo yung sagot nila how it was being prioritized because may ceiling eh. So you need to know which one should go first. No? So But I think that was also a very